Happy New Year and happy Monday, January 5th, 2026. We've got some really cool stuff to talk about today in comic book news. Scott Snyder confirms 2 new villains that are coming to Absolute Batman that I'm so excited for. We've got Jim Lee gruesomely defiling Spider-Man's hand, and we've got 2 of the best comic book movies ever coming to Netflix. All that and more, let's just jump right into it. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about is the new villains that are coming to Absolute Batman. I'm so excited for this because I'm such a huge fan of both of these villains. Now, one is more of a organization, a villainous organization. We'll touch on that. But first, let's talk about this one, which is coming in Absolute Batman 17, which is Poison Ivy, Absolute Poison Ivy. And this is our first look. She looks amazing. I mean, not to use the word absolutely too much because I do that all the time, but she looks absolutely awesome. It looks like she is going to be somewhat genetically altered to make her more like a plant of some kind or something like that. I mean, we know with the absolute spin on these villains and heroes, there's always something kind of crazy going on. But the real life Poison Ivy, there was a time where she was completely turned into like plant life, and she's had different like power sets and different like states of her body throughout the history of the comics. So we really don't know what it's going to be when it comes to the absolute version of Poison Ivy, when the regular version of Poison Ivy has been kind of crazy in the comics just as they are. So this I'm very excited for. I love Poison Ivy, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Batman villains. I have her first appearance right here, which is something I'm very proud to have in my collection. I think it's so cool, and it's, one of the, potentially more valuable books in my collection. So yeah, I absolutely love having that, and I can't wait to see what the Absolute Poison Ivy is actually going to be like. So the article says that Scott Snyder, who's the main overseer of the Absolute Universe, has let us know that Poison Ivy is coming to the comics, but no other details regarding her role in the series have been revealed. However, Snyder did tease that her debut in this popular, relatively recent continuity would occur alongside a big surprise. Now, I think I might know what that big surprise is, because that brings us to this other article with this video right here. Let's take a listen on this really quick.
I wanted to ask, do you think Court of Owls?
Okay, so in case you couldn't hear that, Scott Snyder was asked, will the Court of Owls make an appearance in the Absolute Universe? And his answer was yes, as soon as Absolute Batman issue 17, which is coming in February. So very soon. Now, 17 is the same one that we saw Poison Ivy was going to be in. So I'm thinking this big, reveal alongside Poison Ivy is going to be also the Court of Owls. Now, I'm also a huge Court of Owls fan. Maybe my other favorite, villains or villainous organization from the Batman mythos is the Court of Owls. This is their first appearance, and I also have the first issue of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run. Snyder has also mentioned, like in the video above, how the Court of Owls will make their introduction into the Absolute Universe, allowing fans to speculate before Absolute Batman 17 arrives. This is awesome. How much more awesome could this possibly get? Absolute Batman is great. If you're not reading it, I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this in the comments down below. All right, let's talk about this. What did Jim Lee do this time? Come on. We know he doesn't like to draw feet, okay? Don't worry, he didn't draw a foot in this this cover that he did, all right? But he did horribly break Spider-Man's hand, all right? It may be beyond repair, okay? The outrage over this was just insane. I mean, let's take a look at the damage that Jim Lee did to poor Spider-Man's hand. Okay, here we go. This is one of the covers for Superman Spider-Man, and Jim Lee is doing one of the variant covers. Notice those hidden feet, because as you know, Jim Lee doesn't draw feet. I'm just kidding if you're watching Jim Lee. But you might notice something a little weird about this image here. Take a look right around here. What is Spider-Man's hand doing, man? I tried to get my hand to do this, but okay, hold on. So he's got 2 fingers down. He's got his pointer finger like this. It's kind of like, oh, I'm kind of doing it. Maybe? I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. I think people are making it a big deal, and it's not. But Jim Lee had a little clap back at this. So let's take a look at his response. This is the hand right. Oh, here's a better view, okay? It's a little crazy, but it's a comic book hand. And Spider-Man does, he does stuff which I can't do with my fingers because this one, I can't put my pinky up, whatever. This isn't that bad, okay? I can't believe I'm talking about this. This is Jim Lee's response is to make, he says, okay, I'll fix the hand. And he goes in and he does some crazy stuff to Superman's hand here. and this one, and Spider-Man's on the other hand, because Jim Lee is a legend, and he said, you think that's a problem? How about this? Yeah, there you go. How about that and that? So I think this is hilarious. I like Jim Lee's cover. This article goes on to say that this may be a reference to something else going on in the previous Superman and Spider-Man issue, where Spider-Man punches him and his hands are like broken. I don't think this has anything to do with that. I think it's just a coincidence, but I do think that this is absolutely hilarious, and I like Jim Lee's cover. So I'm probably gonna buy it, and I don't care that the hand is a little crazy. That's Spider-Man. He does. Have you seen the poses that Todd McFarlane has put Spider-Man in that no human being, unless you were like a crazy contortionist, could get into? I mean, come on. Let's all relax a little bit here, okay? I love this cover. I don't care about the hand. It's funny that he responded this way. I think this is hilarious, and go Jim Lee. But if you think differently than me, let me know what your thoughts are on this crazy hand that Jim Lee drew in the comments. All right, Netflix is about to stream the best looking superhero movie, and it's not from Marvel or DC. Can you tell what it is from this image? I hope you can, because I hope a lot of people know how great Hellboy is, and how awesome it's going to be that it's coming to streaming. I love Hellboy. There are, I believe, 7 of these. I have 6 of them. I mean, the art in here by Mike Mignola is absolutely beautiful, and the style of comic is just it's different than your typical superhero comics. It's very supernatural, and the stories remind me of like folk tales almost. And he deals with stuff, Hellboy, that are kind of like folklore based a lot of times, or like, ghosts and demons and stuff. And there's interesting stuff with his origin and where he comes from. One of the most underrated and best looking superhero movies of all time is getting a new streaming home early next year, and it doesn't come from Marvel or DC. Guillermo del Toro's cult classic Hellboy is officially coming to Netflix in January. It looks amazing. He has an amazing big pew pew. That's awesome. They do the lore pretty well in here, I have to say. I think, they had to make it into something that works good as a thriller action movie. And I think that they had a good combination of Hollywood versus, staying true to the original comics in these movies. So it would have been great if they could have made a third one of these. Despite the early ending for Del Toro's franchise, Hellboy remains as a perennial fan favorite of comic book fans. Is that how you say that word? Perennial? I don't know. The 2004 film and its sequel are likewise regarded as some of the most underrated superhero movies of all time, attaining cult classic status over the last 2 decades. Even with a large cult following, Hellboy continues to struggle in film, right? Because there was a 2019 reboot which didn't do so well. I'm happy these are coming to Netflix. I'm for sure going to rewatch them. I'm for sure going to reread my Hellboy library editions because I really love them. And like I said, man, these are some of my favorite books in my collection, these library editions. I think they're just beautiful. They're like this linen cover books that it's kind of hard to keep dust off of, but they're just so well made, and the art is oversized. And Mike Mignola is an absolute genius when it comes to writing and illustrating these books. So I can't stress enough, if you've never read Hellboy comics, go read them. Now, going into it, you have to know it's not like your regular typical superhero comic. It's a little different, but once you get into it and you get into the lore and you get into these, it's a good kind of comic to pick up and read an issue really quick. It's not going to be too wordy, and it's going to be kind of weird and cool, and it's cool to just dip into the world of Hellboy for a little bit. So yeah, love these comics. Let me know what you think about these coming to Netflix. Are you excited for it as well? Have you been reading the Hellboy comics? Have you read them? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, let's talk about this headline of this article right here. DC's greatest 2025 success has nothing to do with film or TV. What this article goes on to describe is that DC Comics has seen amazing sales this year. And that makes me so happy. I've seen a lot of younger people getting into, I say younger people, I'm only 34, but really like the main audience for comics has traditionally been like my age and older, really. And when I go through my TikTok now, I see a lot of younger creators in high school, in their early 20s and things like that are making content about comic books and buying comic books, going to the stores. When I go to my comic book shop, I see a lot of variety of different ages and types of people there, which is great to see. And DC has dominated this year, I think, and especially with the Absolute Universe. I think the highest selling comic or the most popular comic from this year, I think, was actually a combination of DC and Marvel, because I think it was Batman, Deadpool. But I think after that, it would be Absolute Batman. And let me read a little bit of what this article says. Perhaps the most surprising thing was that as good a year as DC Studios had on the big screen with Superman, it might have had its biggest success with DC Comics. DC Comics Senior VP and General Manager spoke to Hollywood Reporter about the great success that DC Comics had with its comic book line in 2025, and revealed that the company was seeing sales that the company hadn't heard of in decades. Not including sales in December, DC's Absolute Universe of titles has sold over 8 million copies in 2025. Of that 8.2 million in sales, about 35% of the sales belong to Absolute Batman. However, it's surprising to see that Absolute Batman has only continued to build during 2025, with the release of course, Absolute Batman number 15, which is the full reveal of the Absolute Joker. Absolute Batman 15, the issue that revealed the origin of the Joker, did remarkable sales of over 300,000 copies. For a comic book to be selling over 300,000 copies 15 issues into the run is an amazing success. However, for as big a success as Absolute Batman is, do note that Absolute Batman had only 35% of the overall Absolute sales, meaning that other Absolute books were doing excellent as well. That is very true. You have Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I know people really loved, and Absolute Flash. And even there's been success on the regular Earth 1 DC universe with the new run by Matt Fraction of Batman with, of course, Jorge Jimenez as well. This just makes me really excited. I want to see just comic books in general selling well. I think it means we're going to get more and more cool content in the future. It means we're going to get better and better writers and artists and, more people coming in to collaborate on comic books. And it's going to be, a really bright future for comics. So in general, comics all around are up, which is a good thing. And, let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Okay, let's take a look at the comic books coming out this Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Feels weird to say that we're in 2026, but we are. We've got Absolute Superman number 15. I hear he's getting into more of his classic villains coming up here soon, which is great. I started reading this, but I haven't kept up with it, so I am going to go ahead and get caught up. And, I have high hopes for all of the Absolute titles, so I am rooting for that to be good. Batman number 5. This is the Matt Fraction run with Jorge Jimenez. This has been great so far, and I think a lot of people are really enjoying this comic as well. And then Absolute Green Lantern. 3 great titles to pick up this week for sure. We've got some Ultimate titles from Marvel, and then we've got Absolute Batman Arc M Special 1. That looks really cool. They've been setting up this whole thing with Arkham that I'm sure this delves further into, and I'm just super hyped about anything Absolute Batman going on. I hope we just ride this high forever and it just stays this amazing. So, knock on wood, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be picking up this book. We've got Night Fight number 3, which is part of DCKO. I need to get caught up on this, but I will be reading that as well. We've got some X-Men titles and Amazing Spider-Man. Poison Ivy, I want to go back and read this from the beginning because I love Poison Ivy, and I love the fact that it's still going strong on issue 40. I love when comic books get a really long, good run. I think the storytelling is better when you can tell a long overarching story and have a lot of character development. So this is great. We have Batgirl, and then Wolverine number 14, Spider-Man Noir, JSA number 15, Nova Centurion number 3. I did read the first issue. I thought it was pretty good, so I do want to continue on reading this. A few other ones here. Of course, we got Spawn titles coming out, but I think I've touched on the main comic books that are coming out this week. Let's take a look at the omnibuses coming out. Okay, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day Volume 2. I'm behind on my omnibus collecting, and one of the places I'm behind is on Brand New Day. I need to get that first volume, and then I need to get this volume 2 as well, because that's a major gap in my Spider-Man collection. Oh, and look at they know what they're doing with this MJ cover. Really? Come on. I mean, I'm going to get that one probably, but you know what you're doing. And then we have Alpha Flight, Mantlo and Lee. Is that Jim Lee? I'm not actually sure, but if you know anything about this Alpha Flight run, if it's any good, and I should maybe get the omnibus, let me know. And then we have a World's Finest Volume 2. I believe this is just a reprint. I think I have this one already. I am excited to see that in the solicits for upcoming omnibuses. We do have more things like the Bronze Age Batman title, because we just had the Brave and the Bold Batman title before. Now we're getting the actual Batman title. So I do like the Silver and Bronze Age omnibuses from DC. So exciting to see those getting reprints and new ones coming out. But those are the omnibuses coming out this week. Let me know your thoughts on the new omnis coming out this week, and let me know what comics you're going to be picking up this week in the comments down below. All right, that's it for the first comic book news of 2026. Let me know if there's anything major that I missed this week, and I'll touch on it next week. Let me know what your thoughts are on the different stories that I talked about in this video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.